Vinny, thanks for joining us, buddy. I want to give a quick introduction. At 15 years old, you started teaching people to lift weights. You appeared on multiple TV shows, podcasts, radio shows. In the early 90s, you were a fitness model. You've trained multiple celebrities like Howie Mandel. I want to come back to that, by the way. You've got a degree in fitness from Tulane University in New Orleans. You've studied anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, and biology. You've made three documentaries, written a book, a podcast. Both of those, the book and the podcast, are called Fitness Confidential. I would say that you have the right to weigh in on health and fitness. Did I miss anything?
I got to tell you, like if I was a guy out there dating, I would bring you with me on a date and just say, "Hey, Adam, go ahead, tell her," because if I do it, it's going to sound like I'm bragging. It's when someone tells you, I'm going to be 60 years old this year. When someone says, "Hey, you're going to do all this stuff in your life," you would go, "Man, I'm tired just listening to it." But here we are. If you live long enough, you do a few things. You write a couple of books. You produce a couple of movies. I guess I don't know. I don't really know how it works, but here we are.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on like the endurance races that you've done and accomplished. There's more if you dig a little deeper into the life of Vinnie Tortorich. But I want to talk real fast about Howie Mandel. Being his personal trainer seems like it seems like maybe it's a little bit of a challenge, or maybe he just doesn't like shaking hands, and it's not too much of like a germ. Are you wiping down weights constantly? What is that like, or what was that like?
No, it wasn't. Howie and I met before I became his trainer. We met over something else. We had a mutual friend who was a comedian, and we met. So he knew who I was, and then his wife asked me if I would train his son, Alex. And I was like, yeah. And it was kind of, well, can it fit into my schedule? I was like, yeah, Alex works from home. Oh, that's great. So he can float, right? He could float around a bit. That's great. And I knew Howie from having other conversations with him that he was way into fitness because he runs 5 or 6 miles every day. I don't think people know that about Howie. He runs every day. Yeah. And so I didn't go after him as a client because, to be honest with you, at the time, I didn't have room. I was floating his son around in my schedule. Whenever I was near the house, it was, "Hey, Alex, tomorrow I'll be around." I was giving him, I think, 3 or 4 workouts a week, but he didn't have like a regular time. And something happened, and one of my clients, had to go move away. It was one of my rock star clients. They went back on tour and that kind of thing. So when they go on tour, they're gone for like 9 months. They're barely at home. I don't know how those guys do it, to be honest. And Howie just, he started meandering into the weight room and asking questions and the whole thing. And he knew some other people that I worked with, and and he asked me, if he goes, "Would you mind training me?" And I was like, "Well, sure, but don't you run every day?" And he goes, "Yeah, I run for my head. I need to keep my body in shape. I'm getting older. I don't want to get out of shape, and I need to put on some muscle." So I have the time. And he asked at exactly the right time. And that's kind of when our friendship took off. It's funny, crazy people like other crazy people. And no one ever said that I was sane. So, we kind of got along, and, we found ourselves laughing at each other. It's easy to laugh at him. He's always doing something funny. And, I could tell you Howie Mandel stories that you would just go, "Did that really happen?" And it really did. I'll do you a favor. I'll tell you one Howie story in a second.
Okay.
I'm not sure anyone else knows the story, and I'm pretty sure he would be okay with me telling it. But he's the kind of guy that makes you laugh. And next thing you know, I'm meeting him for lunch and coffee, and and he's the kind of guy. And this is, people need to know this. He flies on private planes when he goes and does shows and whatever. And he would go, "Hey, you're from Louisiana, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm doing a show down there tomorrow. I got tickets for your parents, and you could fly in with me, and you can hang out with you." He thinks about things like that,
Uh-huh.
right? And I would show up, my parents would be at the show, and they would be shocked that I was there, and that kind of thing. But a quick Howie story: he couldn't think of what to give his wife for her birthday one year. Something might have been anniversary, and he couldn't think of what to get her. But she loves large animals like elephants and giraffes and all that.
Okay.
She's really into Africa and these big giant animals. So Howie thought it would be a great idea to have an elephant in the backyard when she came. So he didn't really think through it. He hired an elephant. It comes like in an 18-wheeler. An elephant shows up. They sneak it in the backyard. And, his wife comes out and she's like, "Oh my God, there's an elephant." And they pet the elephant. They give it a few peanuts or whatever you do. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, the elephant." And she's like, "Okay, Howie, the gig is up. You can now have him take the elephant away." And the guy's like, "I don't think you understand. Once we, by law, once we take this elephant off the truck, it's got to stay somewhere for several hours. You can't just put it on and off the truck. It needs to breathe a bit."
Yeah.
So the elephant ended up trampling the big pachyderm footprints were that big, just tore up. And he's got this beautifully manicured backyard. The thing is drinking from the pool. It's all of his sprinkler system, which is buried underneath, all crushed. Water's everywhere.
Yeah.
But they can't take, by law, they can't take the elephant. There's water splashing up the elephant's gut and all over his belly and everything. Only Howie could do something like that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just imagining the chaos right now.
I can't believe I just told a client, a friend's story. I never do that, but I think he would get a kick out of people
Sure.
knowing that he did that. Because I'll never forget, I went to his house. I was like, "What happened to the backyard?" He goes, you will never believe what happened yesterday. It was completely trashed.
Yeah,
Completely trashed the whole yard.
that's great. I appreciate you telling that story, by the way, and you can give the tip of the hat to Howie from me also.
Sure.
Hey, so, some goofball that has a podcast wanted me to say thanks. So, before we get started, I wanted to delve into the documentaries that you have out, and I just kind of wanted to give people that may not know a basic crash course of what happens to your body whenever you consume sugar. So could you maybe tell us like what happens to your body whenever you consume just sugar?
For the most part, nothing. But
Okay.
so in other words, when I was a kid, long, long, long before your parents were born, sugar existed, but no one was fat. We ate 3 squares a day. You ate breakfast. That was, bacon and eggs or whatever. We didn't have dessert for breakfast. We didn't have, breakfast cereals existed. And I remember my grandmother from the old country, both of they were like, my mom wouldn't even, like, she would bring home some regular cornflakes and she would go, "Listen, guys, if you're really good, we can have this on Saturday, right? You can have this, right?" But it was like a treat, right? It wasn't even Frosted Flakes, it was cornflakes. Or on Saturdays, we would have like waffles. Not even every Saturday, like every second or third Saturday,
Yeah.
right? But most of my life, it was bacon and eggs and some grits every now and then, that kind of thing.
I was gonna say
And
you don't leave New Orleans without having a few grits.
yeah, and like we had bacon, we had beans and red beans and rice Mondays. That's the Louisiana thing, but even that had andouille sausage in it, and you didn't eat that around the clock. Most meals, every meal had what they called a protein, whether it was eggs, fish, poultry, meat, red meat, pork, whatever. and you always had veggies, right? And when I was a kid, you even ate liver. Now liver is like some weird delicacy, and I hate liver, but once a week, that was the meat that we ate that night, was liver. And so that's kind of how I grew up. Sugar existed. I'll never forget my grandmother, like on a Saturday night or a Friday night, one of those nights, we would get after dinner, a little scoop of vanilla ice cream. So it's not that sugar won't kill you if it's a treat. Candy bars were almost non-existent. Every now and then we would be somewhere out at a state fair, somewhere, where you got a candy bar or something. Yeah. So sugar doesn't do anything to you when you just have it as a treat, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of
really
like alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol won't kill you if you have it once in a while. It's when you start having it every day, you become an alcoholic. Well, when you start eating tons of sugar every day, you need more and more sugar to scratch that itch. I'm putting it in simple layman terms. Look, I can tell you, your triglycerides go up, your ghrelin and leptin is switched in the wrong position. You're getting all of the wrong signals with insulin and cortisol and everything else. All kind of. I could get into all of that, but your audience doesn't want to hear that. When you're having too much sugar all the time, you end up getting hurt, right?
Yeah,
You get sick.
And it's no surprise, we all know that sugar's bad for us. And even people will even say, oh, I'm being bad right now. I'm having, a sweet treat. I just wanted you to kind of reiterate, sugar, it turns to fat the quickest. And keep me on the straight and narrow. And the second fastest thing is carbohydrates.
Well, hang on. Sugar is a carbohydrate. The difference is simple sugar it's so broken down as a carbohydrate, just to put it simple. You will get a spike. So if you ate chocolate cake, for instance, let's take grains out of it. You have ice cream, for instance, your sugar will go way up and drop really fast. Think of a kid at a birthday party that, they're running around, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden they're crying and, just flipping out, right? Because they had too much sugar. They're reacting to it. Their brains are reacting to it. Sugar will cause a spike, up, down. You will be lower than you were when you started, sugar-wise. Grains, on the other hand, those hard, healthy grains, as they put it, and folks, if you're listening to this, I'm doing air quotes. So hard, healthy grains, this is bread, this is, pasta, rice, brown rice, all this kind of stuff. It causes, we get what's called a glycogen load. So unlike the spike that goes up and comes down, the load goes up and it stays up for a prolonged period. So those sustained carbohydrates that your dietitian is telling you should have is going up and staying up. So your body has to keep releasing insulin to cover it. It keeps releasing cortisol, which makes you get instantly inflamed. I'll give you women an example of that. Let's say you have your skinny girl jeans on with your FME pumps on and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then you meet your girlfriends out for a drink and you're halfway through a margarita or a cosmopolitan. And all of a sudden you have muffin top and the straps on your FME pumps are about to pop, right? That's instant inflammation that comes from, you go, oh my God, what just happened? I'm getting fat while I'm sitting here. It's inflammation. Your body's not used to it, right? So you have that cortisol just releasing, saying that there's something wrong here, the signals, right? And you have ghrelin and leptin. One's supposed to tell you you're full and the other one is supposed to tell you, I'm empty, feed me. And when those signals get crossed, you always feel like you're hungry. And that's basically what happens.
I love in your book, you, just to kind of reiterate what you were saying, as far as like treating these things like a treat. It doesn't matter what you eat between Christmas and New Year's Eve. It matters what you eat between New Year's Eve and Christmas. So basically kind of moderation, have a treat, have something, treat yourself every once in a while. So in your book and your documentary, and on your podcast, you promote a diet that you call NG, no sugars, no grains, and
Yeah.
uh, and this is kind of why we're touching on this real fast, so that we can delve into your documentary from 2019, and it exposes a lot of these myths of what you sort of already covered about the healthy grains, the brown rices, and
Yeah.
the whole oats, and so on and so forth. Fat, a documentary, exposes kind of the history behind this. And I think you did a great job on that. And then Fat 2,
Thank you.
the second documentary you put out, is the sequel to it. It takes a little bit of a deeper dive, and your newest documentary that you have out now, Beyond Impossible, exposes the corruption behind the fake meat industry. I just watched, just for preparation, I reread your book for the second time, and
Wow.
watched Fat 1 and 2 and Beyond Impossible. So I just want to give you a big kudos for your hard work. And I also have to say to my audience, if you're looking for like a New Year's resolution or trying to change your life, for under 20 bucks, I just got the digital book, and watched all 3 documentaries, and it really kind
Wow.
of gives you
Is that cheap? See, that's why I'm not rich, because you were able to get everything I've made for 20 bucks. How the hell am I supposed to make a living?
maybe,
Yeah,
the great,
it's almost free. You know, I tell that to everyone that I'm giving almost all of it away for free. And they go, well, you sell a book. Yeah, but I never tell anyone they have to buy it. And
yeah,
they go, well, you sell 3 documentaries. Yeah, but if you have Amazon Prime, they're almost free. You
yeah,
know, and by the way, sometimes they are free on Amazon Prime. Like they'll put them free for like a month or something, or 3 weeks. I don't really know how that algorithm works, but, and on top of that, on my website at vinnietortorich.com, I, I put a free PDF up there that if I had just charged 10 bucks for it, I would have had, just on the PDF, well over $3 million at this point. If I just
wow,
put a $10 thing, if I put a $1 charge on it, I would have had 300 and something $1,000
uh-huh,
just on a $1 charge. And I've given it away for free. And people go, well, he doesn't give everything away for free. I have, there's a guy named Scott King, and there's a
uh-huh.
lot of people like this. Scott King has lost well over 300 pounds. He's never paid me a dime, not one dime. Right. As a matter of fact, I gave him a free consult at some point, you
Is
know,
that right?
and yeah, but before that, he had lost all the weight. I gave him the consult because he got into doing triathlons, and I didn't want him to get hurt. And I said, look, this is on me.
Yeah,
You're giving me so much free advertisement out there that this is on me. But, you know, he's proof that you don't have to pay me a dime.
yeah,
And you can get all of my services are out there for free. And people go, how do you make a living? Yeah, I can't tell you the number of people that come over to my house and drink my whiskey and enjoy my wine I don't drink.
yeah,
And they'll go, so how do you make a living? How do you do this? You give everything away for free, you know? And I'm like, that's me doing a very rich industrialist voice. How do you make any money? You're giving it away for free. And I'm like, well, you know, I created other things. Like I own a coffee company, and I have a vitamin company, and I started a foods company. And they'll go, aha, so you tell everyone they must take your coffee and vitamins and food. And it's like, no, not even once. You will never find an instant where I said, hey, the only way you could be healthy is by eating my food, my vitamins, or drinking my coffee, because that would just be a lie.
yeah.
You know, but that's how I make my living. People want to know how I make a living. It's I'm an industrialist in a different way, so that I can keep complete autonomy on this end. And to that point, Adam, maybe I'm talking too much, but here I
Oh,
go.
you're doing good, buddy. This is the Vinnie Tortorich podcast right now. So
Oh,
I
thanks.
I'm here to interview you, man. I've got an open ear, so please go on. I'm just here to orchestrate, man.
I appreciate hearing that. Um, I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about? We were talking about, um,
Uh, you were talking about how you weren't you're not.
yeah. So right now the vegans are all up my ass because, I put this Beyond Impossible movie out. And by the way, they're giving me 1-star reviews. They've never seen the movie.
Yeah,
They know what the movie says without ever watching the movie. So that's brilliant. Good job, vegans.
yeah.
But
What
they're
happened?
going, of course. Well, what they're doing is they're going, of course, he's taking money from Big Beef, which, by the way, if I was a porn star, that would be my name, Big Beef. Yeah. Obviously, he's getting money from the beef industry and he's getting money from the dairy industry. Obviously, would you vegans actually call these people and tell them to send me a check? Because as of right now, I've not received one dime from Big Beef. I don't know who that is, but I'm sure he lives in Texas. Would you guys please call Mr. Big Beef and tell him that I can use a few shekels here?
That's right.
Not sure if he's Jewish or not, but if he was, I can use some shekels.
Yeah.
It's funny how they do that. Go on. I mean,
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to strengthen your point. And you put your own money into this also. People that say you're backed in this way or that way. This was all Vinny from what I understand.
I do. I'm kind of putting my money where my mouth is. Every time I do a documentary, I feel like it's fourth and long with no time left on the clock, and I got to throw up the Hail Mary. Every time I put a documentary out, I'm in the hole. I'm in the hole big time, and I'm hoping that the money comes back.
Yeah.
Bottom line, that's
Yeah.
why I'm here talking to you at 9 o'clock at night. And it's like I'll talk to anyone who will listen because this is, I can't get advertising anywhere else. Someone was telling me today there was a great film called The Magic Pill, done by a guy I know out of Australia. And I was bragging to my wife about this over dinner. I said, I didn't realize how correct I was. She goes, what are you talking about? I said, you know how I said I would never sell my movie to a single entity like a Netflix? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, well, the reason, the reason, she knows the reason is because they can pay me a lot of money and bury that movie and no one would ever see it. It would never see the light of day. Right. And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So I've never sold my movie to a Netflix or Hulu or HBO or Amazon. Well, Amazon has it, but my movies are sold to 70 VODs around the world. Bottom line, anyone can watch it on airplanes. They can see it in India. They can see it anywhere. The guy who did The Magic Pill, who was the #1 rated documentary on Netflix, they've pulled it down. No one else can see it, right? It's gone. It's gone forever because Netflix owns it and they're not going to let anyone see it because they don't want anyone to see the truth.
Wow.
Pretty
Vinny,
scary.
yeah, that is scary, man. And I can tell that you really, your heart is in this. In Beyond Impossible, you mentioned that, big corporations, they don't really give a shit about you. I'm just personally curious, why does Vinnie Tortorich care about us? Why are you, and I've got a theory, but I want to hear your perspective of why do you care to put your own money into this, basically dedicate your life to fitness and health and turning America or just humans in general around.
I'll tell you, but would you give me your theory after I tell you?
Yeah,
Would you promise to give me your theory?
I promise. Yeah, I'll keep you on the straight and narrow.
Okay, great. Because I want to hear your theory.
Okay.
It's I don't really know because it's a thankless job.
Uh-huh.
Uh, man, yeah, you read the book.
Yes.
I grew up in the deep South. I didn't come from a very wealthy family. My family was very middle class, but my parents put us all in private schools. So by definition, we were broke. There was never any extra money to go around. And, my dad was kind of this do-gooder politician who tried to help people. And I watched him struggle. Like every time, like he would help people, like he would put roads in communities where these black kids lived because they couldn't even get out to the front of the road to get to a bus, right?
Yeah.
My dad was a school teacher and he was a principal of a school, and these kids would show up with mud and we go, "Why are you so muddy?" And it's like, well, we were the ones that the tractor was able to get to the road to the bus in time. So have these kids. So I grew up with a dad like that, right? And you know, I figured I would never be rich in life. And so when you figure out, okay, I don't really care about money, but wouldn't it be great if you have a life where you can really help people?
Yeah.
I know it sounds douchey.
Oh man.
It's like money seems hard, but if you can help one other person, then okay. And that's kind of why I became a trainer. And through my life as a trainer, everyone kept saying you're wasting your life. You could have gone to law school and done all this stuff. And meanwhile, I have all these degrees and I became a fitness trainer, one of the first ones that was doing in-home fitness in the 80s. And I like, I like helping people. And then when the internet came around, it was, oh, wait, I can help a lot of people. And, maybe I can rub two dimes together or something. I don't really have a better answer than that.
Oh, buddy. You are taking my you're taking my glory right now, because I literally wrote down your mother and your father were teachers. I think that it's in your DNA, because you wanted to be a PE teacher before your personal trainer was even a thing. You started doing this thing that was not in existence. I think that you want to teach people. You want to give this information. It's somewhere deep rooted in you. This is basically my theory. I started doing this podcast before I knew how to do it. But you listen to the first, 5 episodes. I just got out there and did it. I don't remember exactly which documentary, because I just ran through them so quickly, so they've kind of all intertwined together. But you mentioned that something that resonated with me. If you want to get your life together, don't do it on Monday. Do it right fucking now. Don't. If you're serious about it.
That was in the first documentary. That was the last word. Start right now.
Yeah.
Everybody waits until Monday. Let me ask you this: how long have you been podcasting?
About 5-6 years now.
Okay, and what got you motivated? What got you started? Like, what happened?
I wanted to. I just wanted to entertain for some reason. Like there's something in me, and I needed a platform. I had an agent. I was going to auditions and not getting them, and reading commercial script, and I just couldn't get out there fast enough. So I did it myself. I just got out there and started doing it. So I created a platform so that I could provide some entertainment, and that's how I got into it. That was the breaking point, was me not finding success, me not being able to get my entertainment or my.
So you created your own thing, right? And see, that's the beauty of the internet. After I wrote Fitness Confidential, the people over at William Morris Endeavor, they were in love with it, and they went out with it. And I also had an agent, and they said, "Hey, we went on the internet and we Googled you, and you don't show up in any Google searches." And I was like, "That's really cool, isn't it?" And they were like, "No, that's not cool at all." And I said, "Well, yeah, I don't want anyone to know who I am, because I had very important clients. We mentioned Howie and rock stars and, some really big ingenues and all that." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want anyone to know who I am." I was able to operate in the fringes my entire life.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, but idiot, now you need to sell a book. People need to know who you are. And you need to go figure out how to get important on Google really fast." And I had no idea of what to do. And I was talking to one of my nephews, and I said, "Hey, what do you think?" And he goes, "Well, you could do a podcast, but everyone's got a podcast." And this is only when it was like 150,000 podcasts in the world. It was over 10 years ago. And I was like, "What's this word you're using? I don't even know what that means." And He goes, a podcast. And I said, okay, I hear two words coming out of your mouth, pod and cast.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, what is it? He goes, look, you had a radio show back in the 80s. I had a show in New Orleans called Talking Fitness. And he said, it's just like that. It's just like a radio show on the internet. And I said, well, how do you get it on the internet? I had no idea. He was saying these words to me, and he was like, it's a digital file. So I was sitting there writing down, because he was on the phone. It's like pod. I spelled it two words, POD, cast. And I wrote down digital audio.
Uh-huh.
I'm writing these words down, like a hodgepodge of words. And I called my friend Nancy Wolfson and I said, hey, would you do a podcast with me? Because I knew she had some recording equipment. And she said, no, I'm too busy. But she goes, you remember Anna Vocino, right? And I said, yeah, you call her. She might, and Anna's like one of the biggest voiceover people in the country, right? Like for real. And I called her and said, Anna, would you do this? And she said, absolutely not. And she goes, why do you want to do this? And I said, because she had produced like 15 or 16 of like a series of podcasts with her husband or someone. They wrote these things out and performed them. And I said, Anna, I wrote a book. Would you please read the book? And she goes, we're leaving for Hawaii in the morning. Can you get the script over to my house? And I said, no can do, but I can send you digitally. I think I can get it sent to you digitally. And I was able to do that. She read the entire book. She started reading on the plane. Her husband thought she was out of her mind. She's like on the beach on her cell phone in Hawaii going through. And she wrote to me on day 2 of her vacation. She was like, oh my God, I will do a few podcasts with you to get you started, but I'm not producing these things. I'll do a few and then you're on your own. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So that's how we came up with the format. There was no production value. It was me and Anna sitting in her studio on a Sunday. We would pop out 3 in a row. We would put up 3 a week. The next Sunday I would show up again. We would pop out 3 more. And that started one of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Yeah.
Just by doing that,
that's fantastic.
For your audience, we're now well over 2,000 shows deep.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I've got a couple of questions. Vinnie, I want to be respectful of your time, but if you've got the time, I've got a couple of questions that I'm curious if you'll do me the honor.
I'm sitting in my gym. Does it look like I'm going anywhere?
Okay, buddy.
I would like to go, oh yeah, I got another one coming up. It's 9:00 at night. Where am I headed? Yeah.
I'll try and run through these as quickly as possible. You said, I've heard you say that you know people with beer bellies, but you've never known anybody with a Scotch belly. In your book, you say that you allow yourself 1 glass of Scotch every Saturday night. Now, I'm Scottish, and I want to know what Scotch you're drinking that's so good that you can have one and be happy with it. Just be.
There is no one that you can be happy with. I like some of the Islas, because they put more peat in them. So the truth be known, I will pour 2 glasses, but I use actual measurings to pour them because I might have as many as 2.
Yeah.
But that is like 2 means I'm throwing a party. It's like usually it's like a Lafroig or something like that.
Like
my wife, they're very peaty. I love the smoky, peaty stuff. My wife hates it because she says it comes through my skin while I'm sleeping. And, I'm very lucky to even have a wife.
Yeah.
It's like, why is she with me? And, so the middle of that road is to get some of the Talisker stuff. Talisker Storm is pretty good. Talisker 10 years, one of my favorites. And then there's stuff like Oban. I keep Oban hanging around if I want something kind of crisp and clean. There's all the Dalmars. There's, I'm not a rich man, but I afford myself one and sometimes two Glenlivet 21s every year.
Beautiful thing.
But because I drink so little of it, I can really stretch them out.
Yeah.
Right. I usually keep them around for when company comes over and that kind of thing, because I like to share that kind of stuff with other people.
Yeah.
Because it really is a treat, if you're going to do it once a week. And it's football playoffs now, so I'm going to probably have one on Saturday and then again on Sunday if there's games Saturday and Sunday, but not every week. That just doesn't go on every week. It can't.
Yeah. Beautiful.
What's your, if I can ask you, what's some of your favorites?
I'm all over the board. I do enjoy the peaty, anything that's got a lot of peat in it. Let's see, I like Oban if I want something a little more just kind of clean. And I started in the Highlands. That's sort of where I sharpened my teeth, and now I'm kind of I used to think that Lefroy was way too peaty, that you couldn't appreciate anything else, any other subtlety. But now I've kind of come around full circle. So I'm all over the board. Everything you mentioned is definitely worthwhile. So I, I don't
anyone who says that they like one type of Scotch is not really a Scotch drinker, because there's so much to discover and to enjoy. I'm all about taste. I own a coffee company, for God's sake, and I'm tasting coffees year round. I do a lot of roasting. I used to do more roasting and coming up with my blends and my single origins myself. And you have to really develop a palate, almost like a sommelier develops a palate for wine.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Scotch. You have to develop a palate for it. And once you do, then you can start grabbing the nuances from different Scotches.
Yeah. Vinnie, in the tradition of My Shitty Podcast, we always talk about the worst part about your job. Is there something that you just don't enjoy doing in your profession that you could share with us?
Wow. I'm pretty blessed, man. What do I not like? Oh boy. I love the fact that I have to stay in shape, to kind of be the face of this. I love that. It forces me to stay a certain way. I love eating clean.
You had mentioned in your book that you have to, this is back whenever you were probably doing the training in Beverly Hills, but you had mentioned that you have to get up before your client gets up, and you have to be energetic at the beginning of the day as you do at the end of the day. That's just
but you see, I like that. I liked all that. You see the new life, like this life now. If man, this is going to make me sound like a piece of shit on the Shitty Podcast. But like if I'm in an airport, somewhere like I'll meet a fan.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to be when I meet a fan.
Sure.
Because I didn't become someone until I was in my 50s. So I went, I spent a lifetime with no one recognizing me. And then once I started going on to the Adam Carolla show and Dr. Drew and all that kind of stuff, and, in your faces in 3 different movies, you get recognized, right? So, and I think that I'm still this anonymous person in life, and I'll be walking through an airport and someone will come over and say, "Hey man, you saved my life." I don't know what to do with that.
Sure.
Because I didn't save their life. They saved their life.
Yeah.
They did all the work. I just made a suggestion. They just bought my book or watched my movie or listened to the podcast or something. And I get weirded out and I don't know what to do. So I'll go, can I go buy you a cup of coffee? Can I do something? Because now I don't know, like, and I've been around celebrities my whole life. They just shuck off fans like Howie will keep walking and sign an autograph and go, thank you, and walk away. And, I've seen everybody do. I've been around Bill Shatner, and, he's maybe one of the world's biggest celebrities, most recognized man in the world. And I've seen him, they know how to, but when you're me and you're not expecting someone to do that, I get really weirded out. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm like, I don't do my hands. Can I buy you a coffee? Do you want a scotch? I'll buy. Would you like all my money? I got a pocket. I got a second. I don't know what to do, and it's weird for me. But other than that, it's pretty charmed, to be honest.
And the last part of my Shitty Podcast, we always end with a story. Have you ever? I would imagine in your endurance races, it doesn't have to be your poop story. But has anybody ever had an accident that was a little embarrassing that you can share with us? Or maybe you personally? Yeah, I don't know.
I've never had, a couple of things. Man, this is going to go downhill really fast.
It happens.
But, I've had a couple of clients where I'm like holding their feet over the years and they fart in my face. It's pretty common when you're a trainer.
Yeah.
But, and this has happened to me, I would like to say twice or three times, but it happened so many times that it became commonplace for me. And I didn't talk about it in the book. Women starting their periods in the middle of a workout.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because they're at home working out. So they, I'm safe. I probably won't start until tomorrow. And it seemed to always start on a day when they wore the white tights or the light gray tights.
Yeah,
they didn't even have the black tights to kind of hide it. All of a sudden you see this blood stain and you can't not see it, and you got to tell them.
Sure.
And I remember the first dozen times that happened to me, I probably turned purple in the face and went, I'm pointing at their crotch. And then, at some point I'll just look at them and go, you might want to go into the bathroom. But it took me a while to get used to that. But when you work with 80% women, and like I said, the day that they wear the light colored tights or the white tights, that's exactly the day it's going to happen.
That's right.
It is what it is.
It's Murphy's Law. Yeah.
So I hated to gross out your audience with that, but
and then the last thing here, Vinny, is and this is just a personal thing for me. What's up with the book cover, man? You got your nipples out there and you look angry, you're screaming. What's going on there, man? Kudos on the 12-pack, but I mean, I'm envious there.
Yeah, we shot, if you look at the book, do you have the book available? Is it anywhere near you?
It's downstairs, unfortunately.
When you flip it over tonight, you'll see a picture of me in a gray t-shirt on the back. That's what we were shooting for the cover. Right. Okay. We went in to shoot that photo for the cover, and I went to a professional photographer, and I maybe you mentioned, I used to be a professional model back in the 90s, and I really hated it. I hate getting my photo taken, which is not a good position to be in when that's what you did for a living for a while. Yeah. And I just hated it. And most times it was the body shots, right? Because no one was paying for my face. They were paying for the abs. I was in Dos Equis ads and, any kind. Apparently beer guys have 12 packs.
Yeah.
And apparently we all play beach volleyball. So, so I did a ton of those ads back in the day. And I remember when I quit modeling, I said, I will never take my shirt off ever again. Screw this. But when we were shooting the cover of the book, my wife, who's very savvy, she goes, you should take your shirt off because you're a 50-year-old man and you need like some proof of concept shots that we might use in social media. As much as you hate being in front of a professional photographer, we have one here. Let's take a roll or two of you with the shirt off as proof of concept. Because when this book comes out, vegans are going to go, but he's fat, something. So I said, honey, you're right. You're right. As a matter of fact, I was so unprepared for this that the photographer loaned us the scissors. I'm Italian, so my wife and I meticulously cut all of my chest hair off and off my stomach with a scissor, and then he gave us a razor, and I shaved my stomach and chest right there. It took us about 20 minutes, and I kept telling Serena, one nick, and this is over with, right? I can't nick myself. So we do that, and then I dry off, and I go there, and he's shooting and shooting and shooting. I'm getting more and more annoyed, right? He's like, now flex, let's get a good flex going. And he goes, okay, and these photographers, when they shoot, it's like, he goes, all right, just a few more shots. And I went, fuck, and that's, my hands are out, and I just went, fuck. And when the photos came, when they sent all the photos, Dean Laurie's wife, Serena, everyone went, oh, this is the cover shot.
That's it.
I was like, that? I was like, oh yeah. And the reason I'm even flexing is because I'm yelling.
Yeah.
That was me actually yelling out loud, and that's the shot.
That's pretty good. Excellent. Oh, Vinnie, thank you so much for doing this, folks. Go check out Fat, a documentary, Fat 2, a documentary, and Beyond Impossible. There's all kinds of stuff that we didn't get into in there. Okay, I kind of want to leave it up to the audience to go do their homework and check that out. Vinnie, I can't thank you enough, buddy. Thank you for doing this, and I'm going to cut you loose. That's it for us. Play us out, Shitty Ukulele.